If you didn't already hear when my bio was read, my name is Lori Spagna, and I'm an animal communicator as well, and I also work as an energy healer and a light worker and an intuitive, a professional psychic intuitive. And mostly what I do is I teach other light workers who are waking up and tapping into their gifts. So I work with really highly evolved and experienced people who are really refining their gifts. And I also train other animal communicators, even those animal communicators who have been doing animal communication for many years and want to really strengthen and develop their gifts further and want to really fine-tune on what they're already doing. And when I officially started my business, it was called Effel's God. I named it Effel's God because it spells dog's life backwards. Because even back then, when I was a dog trainer, professional dog trainer, I knew that the animals were mirroring their humans. And that they were not only mirroring in terms of showing them and demonstrating behaviors and situations, lifestyles that needed to be adjusted or changed or learned about or somehow evolved out of or grown into or something like that, they were also healing their humans energetically. Because since everything's energy, they're really absorbing that energy for their human to take it away from the human and to help the human to continue to do whatever it is the human does. And they do this quite consciously. Now, one of the things I'm most fond of, aside from demonstrating the scientifically real and valid facts behind why animal communication is real, and although the communication itself is not studied enough, we would love to have animal communication and telepathy studied more so we could get more scientifically sound with it. Because one of the things I was going to say is that veterinarians very often, if they're disregarding the legitimacy of animal communication in their practice, it's like working on a human who speaks another language without a translator. It's completely insane and somewhat barbaric from my point of view, because really you need a translator to help and to facilitate with what's really going on. So in any case, some of the things that we can use this holistic, and I love that you went into all the holistic approach of animal communication. It's not just, or of holistic care for our animals, because it's not just, Western medicine or East-West homeopathy. It's not just nutrition. It's not, everything is energy. It's also the thoughts and the emotions. What's going on in the human's lifestyle? What is the energy? What is the environment? We know from Dr. Bruce Lipton, everything is environmental. Everything, ultimately, is environmental. So the environment of that animal, of all of his thoughts, his emotions, and even if they're not using their brain in the same capacity that we are, all of that is affecting them holistically. So unless we really get to the holistic part of it, all of the aspects, whole health and healing is not possible. And this is one of the things I've been saying for several years, is that the future of veterinary medicine is going to include animal communicators at every veterinary office, either on staff full-time or certainly on a part-time basis. And if that's not happening, I wouldn't even see that vet. If I really wouldn't, unless it's an emergency situation, because they're missing part of the picture. They're just not getting it. Not to disgrace them, because I totally agree. If you're an emergency, Western medicine, we need it. There's a significant part for it to play in our whole health healing. Okay, so, but what I really want to say here is, I forgot to time my own self, but I know when she ended though. So what I really want to say though, is that when we start incorporating animal communication and a holistic approach to working with our animals, not only do we heal our animals, but we do heal ourselves. And that's a huge part of the way that I do my work, is I never just address the animal in an isolated situation. My work is always involved with incorporating what's going on with the human, because here's the thing. There are sacred contracts, and this part we can't necessarily explain scientifically, but there are contracts and there are oaths and there are agreements that are in place about the relationship that the human and the animal are going to go through in their entire lives together, and that relationship, and in those contracts, every piece of information that we need to know about the healing, about the growth, about the evolution, about the expansion, about the learning, about whatever it is that's involved, it's in those contracts that the human and the animal share. And the interesting thing is, they're not just shared on a one-on-one level, personal contracts. They're actually shared also on a group level. So if you look at small groups and organizations, we all have a contract to be here right now. And our animals are probably egging us all on to get together, right? So that's a group contract, and you can even look just in the United States, animals in the United States. I did this, part of what I did was travel all around the world and work with animals internationally, and if you name the species, I've somehow interacted with him, either as a volunteer or just, in some way, shape, or form. But internationally, did I just lose this? Oh, internationally, all the animals have different kinds of behaviors, so and different kinds of lifestyles. So group contracts in the United States, animals are going through a similar kind of contract, whereas maybe in Indonesia or Africa, different countries in Africa, they have different kinds of contracts and agreements. So those are collective contracts, group contracts. And then we also have universal contracts with animals. So one of the greatest examples of that is the whales and the dolphins. Who knows about the whales and the dolphins here? What are they doing? Yes, they're healer. They're the keepers of the water. They're healing the waters for us. And if we look at the elephants, what are the elephants and the rhinos, especially the white rhinos? Does anyone know about them? They're the keepers of the earth. They hold the contracts in their awareness for the earth's ascension. These are based in contracts and agreements, and the wisdom that these animals have. I mean, I'm just barely, not even scratching the surface here, and obviously I know I have a time also to keep to. So, but we have so much to learn from our animals when we get out of our human, egoic point of view that they are somehow less than us, or that they somehow don't know as much as us, or that we own them even. Because I'm sorry, I don't even like that word owner really, because they are our companions. We are their humans. We are their guardians, but there's no owning. There's no ownership in consciousness. So this consciousness of our animals, I mean, when we start to really tap into their awareness, just let's talk about some of the basic problem solving that we can do. I once worked with these two dogs who the human of the family, the woman, she wanted to have babies, and she couldn't have babies, so she adopted these two dogs who became her babies. And for the first 2 years of their lives, they were eliminating inappropriately. So every day for 2 years, she had to diaper these dogs non-stop throughout the day for 2 years. And she tried training, and it didn't work. So after 2 years, I did one animal communication session with her and them, and found out that they really were just fulfilling a contract to be her babies and to fill that need. And then she could translate I could translate for her that she was ready for them to graduate into kindergarten. We took the diapers off. They immediately eliminated outside. And never, ever did she need the diapers again, nor did she, to the best of my knowledge, and this is over, I think, 4 years ago now, have they eliminated it inappropriately ever again. So these are the kinds of basic problem solvings. But if you look at things like, we can address things like, for example, healing. A great example is that one time I was working with an emergency case, a dog and a woman, his guardian. They were hiking in Maui. There was some kind of accident. The leg of the dog had a major sever while they were hiking. The veterinary office that evening, when she brought the dog in for emergency, said, we don't know if this dog's going to live through the night, and we may have to sever the leg. So she called me emergency frantic. We immediately did energy work on this dog. We did animal communication. We did a holistic approach because the animal was definitely trying to get her attention and knew that he had to resort to extreme measures to get her attention about where she was moving in life. Once we could do that, overnight, the vet said, okay, we're no longer worried that this dog is going to die, and we're no longer worried that this dog's leg needs to be amputated. However, we want to keep him here for a week. Well, now it's how am I going to afford this? I don't know how I'm going to afford this. So another emergency session, we do work, including a process of manifestation, if you're familiar with that. Overnight, the next morning, the vet says to her, oh my God, we now think that this leg is healing a little too fast. What did you do? We don't know how to explain this. And we're going to give you this service, all of the service to you for free. How does that happen? Because there's a contract involved with that vet, and we fulfilled some of that, what her agreement was with the vet, my role in healing and bringing consciousness and energy into that vet's office. And once that contract was fulfilled, the monetary exchange, it was just another form of energy exchange, which could then be changed. The exchange was completed. The monetary didn't need to be paid. So isn't that amazing? These are things that are possible when we start tapping into this awareness. Okay, I'm going to do one other lifestyle adjustment. I want to tell you another way we can start using this. He's always making fun of me. Can you guys hear him? Okay, this is why I love him. I love Dr. Palmquist so much. So one time I had this woman who brought to me her fish. Now, I didn't work directly with the fish because, right, we can work with them remotely. Consciousness, they're not necessarily with us. And this fish had been, for a month, not being able to swim. And eventually, by the time she brought him to me, he was just floating on his side on the tank, in the tank. And she loved this fish. You know, our love is immeasurable. It's not restricted to bodies, whether it's animal or human, fish, whale, dolphin. It doesn't matter. Love is love. And she loved this fish so much. And so she brought this fish to me because she had tried everything and she just didn't know what to do. And he was now on his side and unable to swim well. She had been moving and really not out of a home. Her whole lifestyle was off balance. And he needed to know that she was going to stay centered and grounded. And we did some work on this, right? But once that happened, within 24 hours, the fish was fine swimming around. Once she got the message that this fish was trying to give to her, and once she was willing to really receive it and make the commitment that he was asking, which was basically just something for her highest and greatest good anyway, right? Amazing. So, and then one of the other animals I worked with recently about lifestyle was that the human would go off on vacations frequently, sometimes work and sometimes for pleasure. She would leave the animal behind. And every time she would go, the animal would get unwell, and then she'd come back, and then they'd have to go through this cat would have to get reintegrated into the lifestyle and get back into balance with her being home and not know what was going on. Well, anyway, I worked with her to understand some very basics about how she could stay connected to this animal even while she was gone. So the animal could constantly know that she was always there, always going to return, never left her, totally loved her, and that they were totally connected, even in their absence, her absence. And this completely shifted and changed, and so that when she was now that when she travels, she's able to go and know that the animal's well, and the animal doesn't have to get sick in her absence, and then mess up her whole house when she returns, and get unhealthy, and have to go through that readjustment. So these are just some of the basic things. And then if you look at species, when we start connecting with species, whole species, we can actually work with them for the healing of the earth, like working with the whales and the dolphins, and working with the elephants to receive the ancient secrets that we're meant to receive, and the white rhinos who actually keep incredible insight and information ready for us now during this ascension time, when it's really time for us to be ready to receive incredible wisdom that was not available to us prior to 2012. We're ready for it, and the animals know it, and they are paving the way for us. So that's my primary message I wanted to share with you, but I definitely want to invite you to my booth 105. And I love, love, love to work with other people who really want to tap into their gifts and learn how to connect with animals. And also, I just want to say, if you're interested in learning, I have Learn Animal Communication as a double CD and a best-selling book if you're interested. Also, all my products are downloadable. Animals in the Afterlife, which talks a lot about the sacred contracts. And I use a theta brainwave approach, which helps us to tap into a brainwave that allows for telepathy. And I also do activations, energy activations for people so that they can open up to their gifts. And I teach also about this manifestation process that I referred to, as well as working with universal laws and sacred contracts and ancient archetypes. And I have workshops actually coming up about those as well if you're interested in learning more. So you can definitely, I will make sure that there's a flyer at the back table where you can pick up more if you want to know. And you can also get on my newsletter list. And if you do, I have a free class on Learn Animal Communication. It's an intro class, MP3, that you can download for free. What it is, why it's real, and how it works. And you can also learn about your own psychic gifts. There's another free MP3 class at the website there. If you go to LoriSpagna.com, that's LoriSpagna.com. All right, you guys, I want to thank you for allowing me to contribute here and for allowing me to be of service.